Former state and federal judges are not going to leave Judge Hannah Dugan out to dry, twisting in the wind on trumped-up federal charges of obstruction because she defended the rule of law in her courtroom. It wouldn't allow federal officers to make a mockery of the rule of law in Wisconsin. She got charged criminally by Pam Bondi and Donald Trump. You had the FBI Kash Patel director all excited about the perp walk. They perp walked a state court judge because she wouldn't allow a phony arrest to happen in her courtroom. And now a series of federal and state judges retired are fighting back. They just sent a new letter directly to Pam Bondi of the Department of Justice, condemning the Trump administration's escalating attacks on the judiciary, whether it's a sitting state court judge or others. We just had a press secretary for Donald Trump refuse to refute an argument that the Trump administration would even arrest Supreme Court justices. Just say it out loud. We won't arrest Supreme Court justices. No, Carolyn Levitt said instead, well, it depends on the facts. Depends on the facts. Now, Hannah Dugan, as I've reported, has some great counsel. She just got Paul Clement, who used to be a Solicitor General for George Bush. He's not MAGA, but he's conservative, federalist, right-wing icon firebrand, and he's joined Team Hannah Dugan, and so have these 150 other judges. I just had one of the judges who signed this letter that was supported by Judge Ludig, Michael Ludig, who I've interviewed a number of times on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. I've had that judge, Judge Barbara Jaffe, with me, and I have a separate interview with her coming. But I want to talk it all through right here and read the letter to you on Legal AF. Let's get to it. Hit the subscribe button while we're at it, and let's talk about what just happened. The letter, which just came out, I think that's the great place to start. Dear Attorney General Bondi, we are former state and federal judges who joined together to condemn the Trump administration's attacks on the judiciary, including its recent arrest of Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan in her courthouse. This latest action is yet another attempt to intimidate and threaten the judiciary after a series of rulings by judges appointed by presidents of both parties, holding the Trump administration accountable for its countless violations of the Constitution and laws of the United States. On April 25, you called judges deranged and said that the administration is sending a very strong message and that we will come after you and we will prosecute you. On April 28th, the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt went so far as to say the Trump administration will not rule out arresting members of the United States Supreme Court. The intent to intimidate Judge Dugan and the judiciary is clear from the circumstances of Judge Dugan's arrest, which took place 7 days after the alleged offense. The alleged offense, for everybody, is that she would not allow 6 or 7 federal ICE officers to execute an administrative arrest warrant, not even an arrest warrant approved by a judge, to take somebody out of her courtroom and she's a criminal court judge herself, that she had just got through doing a hearing about domestic violence. She would not let her courtroom and the courthouse be the scene of an abuse of power by the federal government. That is defending the rule of law, everybody. That is not undermining it, but that's what she was indicted on, 2 counts of effectively obstruction. The letter continues. This is not a... There is no doubt that Judge Dugan would have appeared in court to respond to her subpoena. In other words, you didn't need to arrest her. Instead, the United States Department of Justice, at your direction, decided to create an embarrassing spectacle that included the FBI's arrest and handcuffing of Judge Dugan and the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, posting a photo of the perp walk on X. As you know well, the confidentiality and media policy of the Department of Justice that appears on the Department of Justice's own website directs the DOJ personnel should not voluntarily discuss or photograph of a defendant and not discuss a photograph of a defendant unless it serves a law enforcement function or unless the photograph is already part of the public record in the case, which of course here it was not. The circumstances of Judge Dugan's arrest make it clear that it was nothing but an effort to threaten and intimidate the state and federal judiciary into submitting to the administration. Instead of interpreting the Constitution and the laws of the United States. This cynical effort undermines the rule of law and destroys the trust the American people have in the nation's judges to administer justice in their courtrooms. And then it ends with, we unequivocally reject your and the Trump administration's assault on the judiciary, the rule of law, and those who administer it, including Judge Dugan. This does not make us deranged. It's what makes us Americans. Sincerely. And then we've got 200 judges, including Judge Barbara Jaffe, who I interview separately on Legal AF. So why do these things matter, I guess is the first question. Do these things matter? And they do. Whether it's an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief that's ultimately cited by the majority, helps sway a vote filed by 500 law firms to support other lawyers attacked by the Trump administration or put on a blacklist, or 500 federal judges like the same group that filed a brief in support of lawyers. That is cited by Judge Beryl Howell in her own decision. Or it's a letter to the Department of Justice. You need to stand up and speak out. You can't just be the silent majority. You can't be silent. And that's what these judges are doing in leadership. Sure, they're all retired because as sitting judges, they have an obligation to be independent. So they would never sign this if they were still employed, so to speak, but they have a certain gravitas, a certain amount of heft and intellectual firepower that goes into, an ethical firepower that goes into a letter like this. Now, Bondi's not going to respond to it, or you're going to see Donald Trump post some late night screed. 200 deranged judges. Deranged judges, they run the spectrum. They are conservative icons like Judge Ludig. There's Federalist Society members in there. There's Democratic appointed judges as well. They run the gamut from liberal to ultra-conservative and everything in between. The only thing they have in common is they're former judges, and they want to rally around Judge Dugan. And it's not just Judge Dugan who was perp-walked and handcuffed. It's the attack on the judiciary and why this is so important. Sure, she's the poster child for good reason. And just as a side note, one, I'm not sure a grand jury is going to indict her in Milwaukee. Right now, she's under a criminal complaint that was prepared by, the prosecutors. It's got to go to a grand jury. I'm not sure a grand jury of her peers, the majority of them indict her. That's one, especially off the perp walk and the arrest. Secondly, even if she does get indicted, I think a federal judge in the Eastern District of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is going to dismiss those charges. She's got the right people around her. And I'm sure it's heartwarming for her at this moment, this dark moment in her life, to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to see the shining light of those that support the rule of law supporting her. And we support her here on Legal AF. Tune in also while you're hitting the subscribe button. You'll get a reminder when my interview with Barbara Jaffe, one of the judges who signed this, goes up later today. So until my next reporting, hit the subscribe button here. Come over to Substack. I'll post this letter in Substack for Legal AF so you can read it for yourself as well. But we're doing everything right here on Legal AF, but it's all because of you. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.